Hello to my fellow history lovers and people that think if I learned something new today, it will be a good day. I am author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Cap Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series. And today's video was going to go in one direction and then went different as I dug into the history. It was an interesting story. So it begins with Thaddeus Kosciuszko, who I've talked about in different videos. He is a brilliant Polish engineer, military engineer, who helped us win the Battle of Saratoga. And he's related to the picture below because this is subsequent to the most important battle, or among the most important, the Battle of Saratoga. We win it, and the French say, hey, we think you have a chance of winning, we'll ally with you, and then end up sending troops and money and ships, etc. So below is the signing of this treaty, and you will see in this picture, there's Benjamin Franklin. He's the guy holding the paper, he's standing. And then behind him are the two guys that are the main players in this new story that came out that I thought this is really interesting. I'd love to share this. So the guy standing with his hand on the chair, the one closest to Franklin, is named Silas Deane. To his right, the guy with his arms crossed is a guy named Arthur Lee. Now, the three of them are essentially the envoy to Paris trying to get help. But trouble begins between those two guys, and I'll explain to you what happens. So this is Silas Deane. He's about 38 years old at this point, and Congress sends him to, under the guise of being a merchant, to try to get French support and also recruit officers for the American Revolution, which includes, on our earlier slide, Thaddeus Kosciuszko. So while he's there, he is busy trying to arrange things because the Americans desperately need supplies. Well, he assumes Congress is going to pay him back, so he starts helping, using some of his own funds to pay for things, but also personally guaranteeing loans. And Congress is balking at paying him back, and he's starting to have some financial difficulties. And that is not his only problem. So not only is Silas Deane having troubles because he's personally guaranteed things for supplies to go to the American army, but unbeknownst to him, his very trusted secretary, whose name is Edward Bancroft, is a double agent for the British. You could not make a movie better than this, but everything that this is supposed to be done secretly, remember, this is Silas Deane secretly there as a merchant, secretly trying to get French support, secretly making deals to get guns, supplies, everything, gunpowder, back to the Continental's army. But all of this is essentially going through the ears of his private secretary, who is a double agent. And even that is not all of the problems he's facing right now. So things just keep getting worse for Silas Deane. So not only is Congress not repaying him for all these loans he made, all these deals he made that he put his personal guarantee on, not only is his personal secretary an actual double agent for the British, but this guy, if you remember, is Arthur Lee from the picture below. So Silas Deane is the first one sent to France under the guise of a merchant to negotiate exactly what he did, to negotiate deals to get supplies and French support. About half a year later, about 6 months later, the two men who come to join him are Franklin, and in the picture below, Franklin is the one standing across from the French person, like right across the table. This is him. And then to Franklin's right, of course, is Silas Deane. And then the next person over, the guy with his arms crossed, is Arthur Lee. So Arthur Lee was kind of known as being kind of cranky and a very suspicious person. And very soon after he arrives, he accuses Silas Deane that all those deals he's been making for the materials to be sent to the American Revolution were actually financial misconduct, that he was lining his own pockets, that he was making profits with all these deals. And Arthur Lee here has a very powerful brother in Congress, and they use their power in Congress to basically convince the Congress this guy is up to no good. So what happens is Congress actually asks Silas Deane to come back to basically prove his innocence. And I'll explain what happens next. So Silas Deane's problems are far from over. So Congress has recalled him from Paris, and he's there to clear his name and hopefully to get some money for all he's already spent or the deals he privately signed his own line of credit for. But he's got a huge problem, and that's this. some of these deals, in fact, most of these deals at this point, were before the treaty. So they were done kind of shady. He basically, not that he was necessarily shady, history's still not really sure, but the French were shady in the sense that they're selling goods and they're sort of not honoring their own neutrality. They were under the guise of various deals helping the Americans before they actually declared themselves as allies to us. And they don't want that to become public. And to avoid that becoming public, they are not about to release the financial dealings that they had with this guy. So he's trying to kind of clear his name with no evidence. And Congress is not accepting it. They don't agree to pay his debts. They basically don't clear his name. And they pretty much fire him and try to offer him a small sum of money, which he refuses. So I will tell you, actually, this is getting pretty long, so I will tell you on a part two what happens next. Anyway, thanks for letting me share, and I'll see you tomorrow.